Welcome back. We are on the topic quadratic functions. In the previous video, we learned how to factorize a quadratic trinomial. After that, we solved a question on factorizing a quadratic trinomial. In this video, we are going to solve another question. The question for this video is factorize 12 minus 7y plus y squared. So our quadratic trinomial is 12 minus 7y plus y squared. In the previous video, we learned that to factorize a quadratic trinomial, the first thing you have to do is to compare the quadratic trinomial to the general form of a quadratic trinomial. The general form of a quadratic trinomial is as squared plus bs plus c. So you have to compare this quadratic trinomial that you have to the general form of a quadratic trinomial. In order to compare the quadratic trinomial you have to the general form of a quadratic trinomial, you should arrange them in the same order. Now let's look at the order here. We have the square term first, we have the s term, then the last term is the constant. So we will do the same thing here. The first term will be y squared, the second term will be y, then the last term will be the constant. We have now arranged it in the same way as the general form of a quadratic trinomial, so we can compare. So we have as squared plus bs plus c and y squared minus 7y plus 12. The variable here is x, the variable here is y. So let's make it a bit simpler for ourselves by changing the variable here to y. We change the variable here also to y. So now they have the same variable. The variable here is y, the variable here is y. We can easily compare it now. A is the coefficient of y squared here. When you come here, 1 is the coefficient of y squared. So the coefficient of y squared here is 1. So we can say that A is equal to 1. We have plus by here, we have minus 7y. So b is minus 7. We have plus c here, we have plus 12. So c is 12. So now we have the values of a, b, and c. A is 1, b is minus 7, and c is 12. Let's move on to the second step. The second step says that we should multiply a by c. So a is 1, c is 12. A times c will give us 12 because 1 times 12 will give us 12. So a times c is now 12. The third step says that after you have a times c, you look for two numbers that when you multiply, you get a times c. But when you add those two numbers, you get b. A times c is 12. B is minus 7. So it means that we are looking for two numbers that when we multiply, you get 12. When we add, you get minus 7. You will get those two numbers from the factors of 12. So let's list the factors of 12. The factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. From this set of numbers, we are going to have the two numbers that when we multiply, you get 12. When we add, you get minus 7. Can you find them? Look through it very carefully. Two numbers that when you multiply, you get 12. When you add, you get minus 7. If you look through it very carefully, you will see that those two numbers are 3 and 4. But let's look at something here. 3 times 4 will give us 12. So that satisfies the first condition. When we multiply them, we are getting 12. But 3 plus 4 will give us 7. Here, when we add them, you should get minus 7, not 7. So that means that we have to do some small adjustments about our numbers so that they will fit both conditions. Look at something here. What if we negate 3 and we negate 4? That is, we will have negative 3 and negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 4 will give us 12. It will satisfy the first condition. Negative 3 plus negative 4 will give us negative 7. It will satisfy the second condition. So it means that here, to get those two numbers, you have to negate 3 and 4. So the two numbers we are looking for are negative 3 and 4. So sometimes after finding the numbers from the set, you have to do some small adjustment about them such that they will fit both conditions. That is, when you add them, you get B, and when you multiply them, you get A times C. So our two numbers are negative 3 and negative 4. The fourth step says that after we have found those two numbers, we will replace B with those two numbers. So here we are going to replace minus 7 with these two numbers. That is minus 3 and minus 4. So we will replace minus 7y with minus 3y. Replace it minus 3y and minus 4y. So let's do that. We are going to replace minus 7y with minus 3y and minus 4y. When you do that, you have y squared minus 3y minus 4y plus 12. We have now expanded our expression, so we can put our brackets around it and factorize. So we put brackets around the first two terms, put bracket around it, then we put bracket around the last two terms. So you have y squared minus 3y in one bracket. But from the videos on algebraic expressions, we learned that whenever we put bracket around two terms and there's a negative sign outside the bracket, the sign inside the bracket changes to the opposite sign. So here, because there's a negative sign outside the second bracket, the positive sign here will change to negative. If the sign in here was negative, it would have changed to positive. So whenever you put brackets around two terms and the sign outside the bracket is a negative sign, the sign inside the bracket changes to the opposite sign. So here the sign inside the bracket is positive, so it will change to negative. This means that when you put bracket around these first two terms here, that is y squared minus 3y, you have y squared minus 3y. No problem, because the sign outside here is positive. But when we put brackets around the last two terms, the sign outside is negative, so the one inside should change to the opposite sign. It's positive here, so it will change to the opposite sign, which is the negative sign. Okay, we can now go ahead with our factorization. The common factor in the first bracket is y, so you will bring y outside the bracket. Have y into bracket y minus 3, then 4y minus 12. The common factor is 4, so you bring 4 outside the bracket. We have minus 4 into bracket y minus 3. So we have y minus 3 in the first bracket. We have y minus 3 in the first bracket, y minus 3 in the second bracket. So you pick one of them. So you have y minus 3, then you pick y here minus 4 here in another bracket. So we have y minus 3 into brackets, y minus 4 into another bracket. This means that when we factorize 12 minus 7y plus y squared, you have y minus 3 into one bracket, then y minus 4 into another bracket. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. In the next video, we are going to solve another question on factorizing quadratic trinomials. Bye bye.